And now, here's something we hope you'll really like.
You're listening to
Creating Daily.
There's something wrong with you. You know that?
Because you and I are like a mullet. Sid is the business, so he's the front part of the haircut, and then I'm the party in the back.
I think they're hilarious.
Speaks to me. It's like he's saying what I'm thinking.
All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Creating Daily. And as always, when you're a creator, stuff doesn't always go as planned. So we had a little technical issues there, but we got them all worked out. So I'm super excited to be joined by my friend Katie here in just a few moments. Katie Brinkley of Rocky Mountain Marketing. And we're going to be talking all about social audio and podcasting and the power of audio to grow your business, to grow your brand, which she's done a phenomenal job at doing. And since we're running a few minutes late, I'm just going to go ahead and get right into it and leave all my dad jokes at home and in my mind where they probably belong anyway. And let's get into a little segment called Creator Highlights.
No cooking necessary, no assembly required.
It's got to be funky.
All right, it's got to be funky. And talking about funky is somebody that my wife actually submitted. I was going, honey, who should I shout out on my creator highlight today? And she said, hey, why don't you shout out my favorite podcast? And I was like, that's a great idea. We should do that. And so she submitted this one that is by Meg Lewis and is called the Sit There and Do Nothing. And so from my understanding, this is a comedic / fun approach for like meditation and mindfulness. I've yet to listen to it, but you should, and then you can judge my wife accordingly as to what kind of person she is by the type of content that she listens to. So that is the creator highlight. And I do want to put it out there, if you're a creator or if you're a big fan of another creator and you want me to highlight them on the show, feel free to submit them to the show. Would love to do that. Would love to. That's what this is all about, is helping content creators and shouting them out and letting them have their flowers or stars or whatever we call it these days. So make sure you submit those as well. And now got a little bit of...
That's news to me.
All right. Creating Daily. I always forget how long that is and I start talking before it's over. But news today is probably a little old news to some of you. It is that Rode as in Rodecaster, Rode as in Rode microphones, has launched or released a new pair of headphones. I think they're in like pre-order right now, but they're called the NTH100s, and they make the register ring about $150. So not really a bad price point for over-the-ear headphones. And I was reading a little bit about them. I'm probably not going to get them because I love my in-ear headphones, and I went away from over-the-ear because I sweat so much when I have them on, which maybe is a personal problem. But the most promising thing is that I did see is they do have a revolutionary cool tech gel that reduces wear fatigue. I imagine they're comfy and maybe they stop sweating. I don't know. Anyway, that's news. It's a part of my show. I had to have it. Exciting or not, it's part of audio too, which I'm excited once again to bring my friend Katie on here in a moment. But I do want to let people know that are listening on Clubhouse that I'm not going to be broadcasting to Clubhouse starting next week. We're going to finish up tomorrow. It's been a lot of fun, but in my opinion and the opinion of people I like and trust and know, maybe she's on the show today, after some conversations, I'm going to dismiss Clubhouse from the lineup and just focus on audio and video because that's the kind of type of content we're creating. So anyway, we'll actually talk about that a little bit, but I'm going to shut up. We're going to get into it. I'm going to bring my friend Katie on. Once again, she's a podcaster, audio host, social media expert, marketing expert, multi-creator like most people on my show. So Katie, welcome, but don't say anything because I got to unmute you as I always do. There we go. What's up, Katie? How are you?
Hi, I'm so glad that I finally have been able to get on your show. And it's fun because you're saying like, oh, my friend Katie Brinkley. And I'm like, and this is the first time I've actually been on your show. It's just because we've been in so many social audio rooms together and we had the opportunity to talk on the phone so much that it's like, wow, this is actually the first real time that we're doing it.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. And also maybe because I change shows like most people change their underwear, like every day I do a new show, start a new show, come up with a new concept. So maybe that's my fault more than anyone else's. So yeah, it's good to have you on. I'm excited to talk about this subject because I think that out of all the people I know and have met, actually we met on social audio, so that's, the power of doing that as well as like making friends. But you probably more than anyone else have like crushed this game, and I want to pick your brain a little bit about it And you actually sent me some talking points because I'm such a bad host of this podcast. But let's jump into some of that. Like, what is the power of your voice, and why should I, if I'm not focused on it, should I be focused on it?
Yeah, well, I think that something about voice, there's something about talking to people. Like I said when I'm on the show, this is the first time that I've actually ever been on your show. With maybe only like the third or fourth time I've seen you while speaking to you, but it feels like you're one of my closest friends, and it's something powerful about hearing somebody speak. We all thought, or everyone thought, that TV was the end of radio. Who's going to want to listen to stories on the radio? And then, internet was supposed to be the end of TV, and we're all still using radio, TV, and internet. And I think it's the same thing with audio. It's not going to go anywhere. People crave talking to new people. They crave conversations and hearing other people's opinions. And so with audio, it's not going anywhere. It's just evolving, and it's how we decide that we want to evolve with it. So there's something powerful about voice. You can hear how passionate somebody is when you hear them speak. You can hear their knowledge on a topic by hearing them speak. And there's a difference between just hearing someone read a page off of Google and hearing them speak about their business or something that they're passionate about when you're listening to a podcast or you're in a social audio room. So I think that audio is not going anywhere. If anything, it's just evolving, and how we decide that we want to evolve along with it and use it for our business is everything.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think that is, because I came from a world of screen printing promotions where it was all B2B. There was like the power of voice as far as like a phone call or a sales call or something of that nature. But there wasn't really that like opportunity to interact with a crowd of people. And I think that's like social audio is so interesting to me, because we went from, like, for me anyway, as a business person, not really interacting with many people, to all of a sudden like platforms of audiences of like 100 people, 75 to 100. Like, we were running rooms early together about, hey, find a guest, be a guest, like on shows. And all of a sudden it's like 100 and some people in the room, and you're like, wow, this is like, what other platform would I ever just hit go live and have 100 people listening to me at a time? Is pretty crazy. So, and I agree. And from that pool of people, you get like-minded people and friends and all that. So you're absolutely right. It is pretty game-changing, in my opinion, as far as like growth of my audience that I didn't even know I wanted or needed or any of those other things. So yeah, that's a very good point.
Well, and the thing too, Billy, with audio or podcasts or social audio, using your voice, it's a different way of capturing, human storytelling and human connections. It's when you hear someone speak, it's just an authentic way of connecting with other people. And I really think in a world, and this is from somebody that comes from social media. I mean, social media strategy is my day job. Podcasting, social audio are things that I'm passionate about. But in a world of perfectly curated photos and beautifully designed graphics, audio is something that's real and raw, and like, there's no dancing involved. It requires very little upfront investment to talk with people. And I don't know, and I'm sure that we'll get into this too, Billy, but I don't know if social audio would have had the massive change and success that it did have if it weren't for the pandemic of 2020. People missed talking to people.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I think that was when we saw like Clubhouse, for instance, and we'll kind of talk through some of these platforms, but Clubhouse, for instance, when we saw that come on, it was during the middle of a pandemic. For me anyway, it was like, oh, I'm bored. I have nothing else to do. This is kind of a weird thing, a weird way for me to connect with people. And so it really became one of my favorite platforms. And before Clubhouse, once again, I had like, speaking of social media, I had like 800 people following me and me following them on Instagram. And now that's grown over to over 2,000 people have been added to that little ecosystem. And it's all really come from social audio, which is just in itself like testimony of like, hey, there's a potential, growth here. So you talked about some of the benefits of, of listening to, or of being able to listen to people's passions and all that kind of stuff. So we get to know them faster. So if they're, talking about a product or service or whatever, like we as consumers can kind of say, oh, that's, this sounds like BS, or this, cool, let me swipe my credit card. Now, as a business person, how has this affected your business? From, I know you coach people and you manage social medias for, for companies and things like that. How has social audio impacted your company?
It completely changed everything for my company. I think that it was the perfect thing for me. Like you said with my intro, I come from radio. So I used to be the post-game reporter for the Denver Broncos, Colorado Rockies, Denver Nuggets, the Denver sports teams here in Colorado. And I went into radio. I didn't want to go into TV. I wanted to do radio because I just thought it was such a unique way of, you have to be a storyteller. You can't just use the visuals that people can see on screen. You have to describe everything that you're seeing so that the people that are listening, can visualize it themselves. And so social audio Clubhouse really was the perfect thing to come out for me. And it 100% changed my business. And I think it changed, like you were saying too, you went from 800 followers to over 2,000 followers. And once you had a small community, but you just necessarily weren't ever given the microphone or the platform to be in front of 100 people, an hour. And 100 people in an hour, that's, if you think about, if you have 100 people in a room, that's a ton of people that were there listening to you. And even if they were only there for 10 minutes, you were there and you had the opportunity to make an impression on them. And so with Clubhouse, so many content creators had the opportunity to hold the microphone. There's so many people that I have connected with from social audio that I would have never had the opportunity. I would have never been searching for you. I would have never been using the same hashtags that you were. So I would have never gotten into your ecosystem. And that's what social audio does, is it brings people together and allows you to make those connections quickly. Unlike, okay, I might see your post, like that was cool, but it's not going to necessarily, incentivize me enough to hit the follow button,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think that is, the powerful thing too, because there are people who I have seen their Instagram even after meeting them on Clubhouse, and I would have never followed their Instagram account ever, just because it was like either it looked super hype or super cheesy or didn't make any sense, or, it's too many pictures of their dog and not of their services. Or whatever, and I would just never connected with them at all. But I heard their voice, I heard their story, I heard all that, and then I'm like, oh man, I'm going to go follow them and keep up with their, what they're doing as a creator. So yeah, I love that. And so I think this is, our point that we're kind of driving home. And if you're joining the live stream, or if you're on Clubhouse or Bullhorn or wherever, and you're joining us, if you're not in audio, if you're not putting some kind of effort toward audio, these are the things that we've seen as creators, not hearing stories of other creators growing, but we ourselves, Katie and I, have seen our audiences grow, have seen our businesses grow. I mean, I've started a business from social audio just because people found out that I had a skill set in a particular thing. Now I sound like Liam Neeson. I have a particular skill set. But it was that grew, my business and helped me to start a business that I'm now working on. So what is the difference, Katie? Because some people might go, well, what's the difference in that and a podcast? Like, where are these two? Because it is kind of blurry, but can you hash it out for us?
It is. Well, and I mean, this is kind of what we dove into yesterday at Post Creating Daily in your Clubhouse room. I think that Sid called it the after party, which I liked. But I think that this is one of the things about social audio versus podcasting is podcasting. This is you and I having a discussion, and anyone who's watching the live stream or in Clubhouse or whatever, watching on LinkedIn, they're watching or listening to us. Whereas with social audio, it's raw. You hear the ahs, the ums, the awkward pauses, the differing opinions. So, you and I could be talking about how great social audio is, but if we're in a Clubhouse room, someone could raise their hand and say, well, actually, I think that podcasts are better because of this. And it could take the conversation down a whole different way that we were intending on it going. So social audio is definitely more off the cuff, more raw. And I definitely think it's more open to new opinions and conversations. Again, we can start with an agenda or an idea of what we want the podcast to be, but then on Clubhouse, it might go a completely different direction. It might only be 10 minutes, or it could be 3 hours, depending on how the conversation goes. And that's one of the special things about social audio is it's just like meeting someone in real life, and having the opportunity to hear that over, like kind of like a coffee shop conversation. You could hear two people talking about podcasting and be like, oh, well, actually, and you can join right on in. And that's something that's only, I think, unique to social audio.
Yeah, I love this too, because I think, before I got on social audio, I was probably had mindsets about certain things because I was uneducated about those things. And so I was like, kind of had opinions that were really drawn from the wrong place, but I would get into rooms on purpose early on. I would get into rooms that were like out of my world. I would have never been in those rooms, never been a part of those conversations, but I learned about different cultures. I learned about different companies and businesses and people and all these things. I learned about all of that from social audio. And so I think that was one of the things that I looked at it early on and said, wow, this is really cool, because I would just assume, and once again, my 3-year-old or my dogs always wants to be on the live stream. So if you hear them, I apologize, but I have really my eyes have been open to different cultural things and been educated, that kind of thing. So one thing, Katie, that you talked about was like kind of different ways that you can show up. And I think in the podcasting world, it's the biggest questions are, how long should my show be? How do I find my audience? How do I engage with them? And this is kind of cutting all those questions out, because you did say, like you kind of alluded to, social audio is like the wild, wild west. Like you can do anything you want. I've done 10-minute rooms. I've done 2-hour rooms. So like dive into what have you, or maybe how do you use social media? And then we'll talk about different formats, but how are you using social audio, I should say?
Yeah, well, in social audio, it used to just be Clubhouse. So there was podcasting, that was kind of the original audio form, and then social audio or Clubhouse came out. Well, there was web before that, but we won't even get into that. But Clubhouse is one that came out really exploded in December of 2020. It was always kind of in beta mode, and it was invite only. So they created the perfect product. People could only get on the platform if they knew someone that was already in. And once the room ended, that was it. They weren't recorded. You couldn't share it. I mean, it was total FOMO and invite only, and everyone wanted access to this exclusive club. And so as the doors continued opening and more products came out, people saw Clubhouse as this really cool way to talk with people. And like I alluded to before, with the pandemic, we missed talking to people. I will be the first to say that when my mom or my dad, who are probably watching the live stream, when they call me, I will send them a text message back, because it is faster and I can just do it while I'm working. I don't have to worry about stepping away. And that's a habit that so many people have gotten into. It's just easier to send a text. I'm not going to pick up the phone and talk to someone. And, we all missed that when we were, under quarantine with only our family, our immediate families. And so Clubhouse was this perfect storm of exactly what we wanted: new conversations, invite only. You have to be there, you snooze, you lose. And everyone wanted in. And, ever since then, there's been a number of social audio platforms that have done the copycat, from Facebook to LinkedIn to Twitter. The biggest thing is it showed us that Clubhouse is not just going to be here today and gone tomorrow. If all of these bigger platforms, these multi-billion-dollar companies are investing in audio, you need to pay attention. It is a way for people to communicate, to do business, and to connect with one another. So social audio, just like short form video, is something that's going to be here for a while. And the longer you get on the sidelines, the more you're going to miss out on, more opportunities that you're going to miss out on.
Yeah, I think we're in the beginning. Katie, I agree with you there. I think we're in the very beginning of social audio. I think maybe people have come and they've gone because the platform wasn't doing certain things, wasn't capturing the audio. You couldn't repurpose the audio at first. You didn't have permission to record. And now it's evolved to where all these features are there. So you could literally start a social audio show today and capture all that content for repurposing. And, so for some of us creators who are like, man, I need this content today to be more than just on this platform for the time it's here. It is a huge, powerful tool now. And some people that are, going to watch the show maybe came on Clubhouse and left. And when you go back, it doesn't look anything like it did. And it's, in my opinion, way above any of those other platforms we mentioned, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, all those places. Like it's eons above, and they're leading the pack in the audio world. So it might be time to come on back and really be a creator on there. So have you seen that these platforms are catering to creators? Are they? I don't have any kind of deal with any kind of platform where they're paying me to create content, but I'm curious, have you seen this with Clubhouse? Are they doing certain programs or Twitter Spaces or any of that?
Yes, I think this is the thing. You can be a creator, but it's not like with Facebook, where like one of my clients got paid some money for a reel that went and exploded. And all she had to do was just share the reel that she already made on Instagram, and Facebook replayed it, and she got a paycheck from them. They're not necessarily doing that for social audio yet. It's one of those things, it's like I'm talking to the perfect person for this, but like sponsors, doing sponsored rooms, sponsored shows, and that's where a lot of creators are making money. So I have a friend, and he has moved into NFTs, but he's also an MC and a speaker. And so what he's done is created a second business where he goes and hosts these social audio rooms on behalf of the NFT project and brings new audiences in for them to listen to what this project is about. So I think that if you are a creator, and I'm talking to the perfect person here, but if you are a creator, there's different ways for you to get sponsors and to be paid. I've been a paid moderator for over a year now. So wow. I'm paid to host rooms for other people, but there's a number of ways that you can monetize it. It's just, how are you creating for money on these social audio platforms?
Yeah, I love it because I think oftentimes we do, and this was my thing. This is why I started creating a daily show. One, I was creating pretty much daily on these platforms anyway, somewhere. Either I was creating my own thing or I was helping someone else create. I was showing up, I was having a conversation. I'm like, man, why don't I show up and have my own conversation and have my own guests and build my own network and all that kind of stuff. And that was where creating, daily came in. And then I've talked about doing some network. I'm always talking about something. Okay. This is like the,
you're an idea man.
This is the kryptonite of being a creator. It's like this part of my brain just won't shut down. I'm always like, what's next? What can I do? What's next? But I love that you said, you don't necessarily have to own the NFT project or the business or the brand, but approach those brands that you know, love, and trust and that you want to work with and see if they will pay you some money to go on and represent them on these social apps. I think that's a genius idea to monetize outside of just building your own community. And you're going to do it in tandem, because I know you are not just a one-trick pony of moderating a room, but you are also bringing some of those crowds and some of those people into your ecosystem, and then they're converting into customers as well. So I think that is a huge opportunity, and maybe some brands are listening. Listen here, brand. If you're listening, here's two creators right here. Make an offer. Go ahead. We'll start a bidding war in the chat. All right. We'll see who wins. But I think it's a great idea for both on the brand side and then on the creator side. It's like you make this match, and because I know I promote a lot of product. I promoted One Sheet Pro, on this show all the time and love it. And
I am also a One Sheet Pro user. So for those people watching and enjoying it now, One Sheet Pro is where it's at. Yeah. Yeah.
OneSheet.pro/Billy Thorpe or /Katie Brinkley. Is it just your first and last name? All right. Perfect.
It is.
So go check. But don't click on Katie's too much, because I'm number one in that directory right now. So. Because I've been sharing more. It's competition. It's my sport. One Sheet Pro is my sport.
think about it. If you were, like if Shure Microphones, who you helped me get my microphone, if you're hosting your daily room and you just, as people come in, you're like, yeah, if you think like the way that I sound, you can tell that I'm using an actual audio setup. Here's a link, which you have clickable links in Clubhouse now, and it can go directly to your affiliate page. They get their name on the room. I mean, it's a win for both of you because people can actually hear the product as it's being used. It's, I don't know. I think that there's so many ways that you can monetize and get sponsors for live rooms. And I think that it's, when it was not recorded, yeah, I understand why some brands might have been on the fence about it, but now every single room is recorded. And so it doesn't matter if you only have 10 people in there while the show is live. There's been plenty of rooms where, there's maybe 25 people in it, and I've gone back and looked to see the replay stats, and it's over 400 people have replayed that room.
Wow.
They've still seen that link. They've still heard everything that I had to say. I mean, it's just like a podcast now. And I share Clubhouse rooms in my emails. You get that clickable links. I mean, there's so many more opportunities as a creator with social audio to repurpose that content or to try and monetize it and get some sponsors.
Yeah, I love that you brought that up, because I think that is one of the things that when you spend a lot of time doing something in Clubhouse early on, I mean, I think at one time I clocked like 80 hours on there in a week because I was just on there all the time. Like I looked at my phone, I was like, holy smokes, I'm spending a ton of time on here. What am I doing? But I was having fun. I was building my community, so maybe it wasn't all in vain. But it is a ton of time, and it can be this big time suck. But as a creator, we're all trying to figure this out. Like, how do we get compensated for our time, our energy, our talent? And one thing that you said was these. You're getting 400 downloads. On the post portion of the show. Well, the average podcaster, I think, from my research, gets like 25 downloads an episode or something like that, and so it's already more.
Same statistic. Did you share it with me, or did I share it with you, or did we just both have to see the same?
Maybe we saw the same thing or heard it somewhere, but just on this Clubhouse room, and there's not even a lot of people in here because once again, I don't feel like this type of content.
I should be in this room. Why am I not in the room?
Katie, come on. If you do jump in the room, just mute your microphone so we don't get double audio.
Okay.
But even though there's not a lot of people, there's still been 24 people come through the room. And so 24 people have heard about us. 24 people have, seen the room and heard the audio. And so that's already averaging way more than most podcasters get, are right there at it. We're at average right now for just this episode, just on the live portion. So, and look at this. Katie Brinkley joins the Clubhouse room. If you're not on Clubhouse, go over there and check it out. We're over here talking about dominating with audio, and this is what I'm talking about. Katie Brinkley jumps on the stage. Before she did, there were 4 people here. She jumped on the stage. Now there's 20 people here. This brings me to my next point of saying this collaboration in social audio matters. Like, it matters to not just be a solo person on a stage, and this is the reason why I'm not going to stream here to Clubhouse anymore, is because I'm just running, one icon with two people's voices coming out of it, so it doesn't really make a lot of sense. But it just was displayed, and I wish I could show it on the screen. It went from 4 people to 25 people like that immediately. And the sad part is a lot of these people follow me, Katie, so thanks a lot, guys, for no support for me solo. But when Katie Brinkley comes on the stage, now we get a room full. So interesting, very interesting.
Well, but this is the thing too, is right now we've hit with what that stat you just said. We've just hit the average download of a podcast just by 2 people having a conversation. And that's, again, where social audio is different. People want to hear conversations. And no offense, Billy, I enjoy hearing you speak, but obviously just having one guy on stage is kind of like meh. Whereas now, and you get those different perspectives. You get to hear those different ideas. And I just think it's special and it's unique and it's different from podcasting. It's different than social media. There's a reason that all the big names of social media put this into their platforms, because it's it's a new way to communicate with people, and it's a very effective way to communicate with people. It's an authentic, effective way of doing business.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think it cuts a lot of the friction out, a lot of the guesswork. You can get on stage. And then here's another thing, talking about social proof, like it's more than just somebody liking or commenting on your like picture or whatever. Like I've literally been in rooms where I'm in the audience, and you've been this way too, Katie, where it's like, oh, Billy's in the room, man. I just want to shout out Billy. Like, he spent 15 minutes on the phone with me, totally changed my whole sponsorship strategy. Went out, got a sponsor, closed $2,500 deal. And next thing I know, my back channel is just lighting up with potential new business because of that one mention for 5 seconds. And I'm like, wow, this is so crazy to me that we've built. But that's the trust factor as well.
Exactly. And, on that person wasn't getting paid to say that for you. And it's just like referral marketing 101 here. Having the opportunity to just get on stage and say, Billy changed my business, or I sat down and, I used this microphone. Like I heard you on, Clubhouse all the time. I was like, I have to stick my head in a box because of the acoustics here. And you're like, oh, well, let's get you taken care of. And now I can use this for social audio. I can use it for my podcast. And it's taken my audio game to a whole new level. And it sounds better, like when you're showing up on a consistent basis and you actually have good sound. So, and you had built yourself up as being that person I knew I could trust. And you're like, hey, yeah, this is an affiliate link. But I was like, yeah, I don't care. I would pay you the full price of the microphone if you want to send me your old mic. I just trust you that much. And it's because of all the things that you've said over the course of hearing you speak for days or weeks on this app. And it's the authenticity factor again.
Yeah, I love it. I 100% agree, Katie. So when we're talking about showing up on here and showing up in kind of like different ways, what are some show formats? Do we run Clubhouse and social audio like this show, like this live stream? Or do you what have you seen format-wise that works the best, I guess is my question.
On social audio?
Yeah, on social audio, yeah.
So, and this is one of the things too that I think many Clubhouse room creators, social audio creators, the trap they fell into when they first started these spaces, these rooms, was that everyone thought they needed to be at least an hour. And with Clubhouse now recording, Fireside, they have recordings, all these different audio apps you can hear the recordings of it. Well, then you can go live for 10 minutes if you want. You could use that as basically hey, I just want to let you know, Instagram now has 3 feeds, so you can see chronological, favorite, and I could go in there and just do a quick update. And now I have a shareable link that I can share on LinkedIn. I can share it on Facebook. I can share it in my email. And it's a 10-minute update, maybe mini podcast that I can share with my audience. And so I think don't think that you need to have an hour-long room. Go for as long as the conversation needs to go. I also think that, as you were saying before, Billy, you were the only one on stage. And you're like, we have like 4 people here. And then I jumped up and there was like 20. People want to hear conversation. They want to hear differing opinions. They want to hear additional insights. If they have something to share, they want to join in. And that's where I've seen the really successful rooms. Don't just bring, 60 people up onto the stage. That's no fun for anyone that's actually in the audience trying to figure out who's talking. Keep it to like 4 to 6 people and have a conversation about a topic. And if other people want to come up and the conversation has ended for some people, move them back down to the audience. I think it's a great time or great opportunity for you to expand your thoughts, your beliefs, and gain new insight into different topics. So 4 to 6 people is kind of the sweet spot. Always have at least 2 on Clubhouse. If you can get 3, even better. But again, it's all about trying to have conversation, something you don't get with a podcast.
Yeah.
Not like this podcast. You know what I'm saying.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that, I think even with live streaming and podcast, I think all these things have their place. And as creators and multi-hyphen creators, it's our responsibility to figure out like which one do we enjoy the most, and which ones do we want to focus on, and so and kind of lean into that. And I think that's where you'll be most successful as a content creator. Like if you like to show up live, like I do, start a live show. I don't know about starting a daily live show. Maybe I have a little regrets after 12 episodes or whatever we're on. But
well, this is the thing, and I think I've already pitched this to you, but like you go live daily. Sorry, you're stuck with it. But I mean, having like a co-host on Monday and a co-host on Friday, that way you can kind of have the opportunity for that banter and that conversation but you still have somebody regular, so you can always kind of steer it to that type of topic.
Yeah, I think that is a great idea. I have been, I have a little bit of that set up already, kind of in talks, but I definitely think having a co-host is good, or a circle of co-hosts, to kind of circle through and talk about different things. I think is a great option, because it does get a little boring talking to yourself about stuff that you like. But anyway, and that's why I have a guest on too, which I'm, good or bad at interviewing. I'm learning the skill and I'm studying the skill, and I think Clubhouse has really helped me with that. It's like I was not a social person. Like I would work in my office 8 to 10 hours a day by myself and only talk to people I was trying to sell stuff to. Like that's what I did for the last forever. It was like cool, and now I got this social platform where I'm learning how to communicate with people. I'm learning how to talk. I'm learning how to ask questions. I'm learning how to be curious. And so even if you're not all those things up front, I've spent like a year on Clubhouse. I've spent hundreds of hours, probably even thousands of hours talking to people, getting to know people. So I do want to open it up over here on Clubhouse. If anybody has any Q&A, but before I do that, actually, Katie, do you have any kind of course or workshop or anything around social audio? I know you had something at one point. I just wanted to see if you still had that for people who are like, I've never heard of this before. I don't even know how to use it or strategy. Do you have any resources?
I do not. So I had a Clubhouse course, but there's so much that has changed with Clubhouse that it's moved into more of a social audio strategy call. So if you're interested in that, it's a strategy call where you and I sit down and figure out social audio platform is the right one for you. I think that that's something to consider. Clubhouse might not be for you in the way that you do business. It might not be the best way that you communicate. Let's say you have 30,000 followers on LinkedIn, and starting from scratch on Clubhouse might seem kind of daunting. Well, why not craft a strategy around LinkedIn audio events? And these are the types of conversations you can have and how you promote it. So it's moved into a social audio strategy call as opposed to just doing a course, because it's not a one size fits all. It's everybody's going to have a platform that feels right to them. Clubhouse, really, I think you and I both can say like, this is our home. Clubhouse is a great spot for the way that we communicate and the way that we like to listen to conversations. So, everyone, it's not a one size fits all. And if you're interested, then we can do a strategy call together.
Awesome. Absolutely. And I'm going to have that linked in the show notes, description, all those fun places. So you can check that out. And if anybody is over in Clubhouse, or if you're watching, wherever you're watching, there's a link pretty close to you where you can go to creating daily.live. There we go. And you can see where we go live. You can check out my one sheet, and then I will add Katie's information, and I'll add that strategy call link there so they can get in touch with you. And so right now, what I want to do, first of all, I want to thank you, Katie, for coming on the show. And we're actually going to do something different today. We're going to jump over into Clubhouse, but I'm going to turn off the live stream because I want people, I noticed this, that in Clubhouse, sometimes people are like, I don't want to be on your live show, but I do want to come up. I want to ask questions. I want to be a part of the conversation. So I'm going to end this live stream. We're going to jump over to Clubhouse in just a moment. We're going to take a little breather, and then we'll jump into Clubhouse, and people can raise their hand, come on stage, and we can pick Katie's brain for just a few more minutes about social audio if you have any questions. Sound good to you, Katie?
That sounds awesome. Thank you so much for having me on. I hope you asked me to come back again.
Yeah, well, you just offered to co-host some shows, I think. I mean, maybe I got to watch some video again.
Kind of, didn't I?
All right, sounds good, Katie. Well, I really appreciate it, and we'll talk to you soon. So I'm going to close this out. So everyone, thank you so much for joining Creating Daily today. Tomorrow, I'm going to be back with my friend producer Jimmy, who I also met on Clubhouse, to talk about the correct way to launch your podcast. So maybe you spend a lot of time on Clubhouse. Maybe you have a lot of content saved on Clubhouse, and you want to know, how can I use that content to launch a podcast, but do it the right way? Now, some people come to me and say, Billy, you've launched all kinds of podcasts. Can you teach me how? And the answer is probably yes, but I will teach you wrong. So hopefully tomorrow we'll learn some right ways. And I know producer Jimmy is doing a workshop to help you boost your launch. So be back tomorrow, 2 p.m. Eastern time. I'm going to be talking to producer Jimmy about her launch process for podcasting. She's been doing it for a really long time. I think she's edited like over 2,000 episodes. So pretty crazy. And let us know, and one more thing, last thing, and I'm done. Go to your nearest podcast player and review this show. If you enjoyed the show or if you hated it, just leave a review. Okay, I can take it. So anyway, we'll see you guys over in Clubhouse for a little quick Q&A, and we'll see you tomorrow at 2 p.m.